Hello, everyone. You will now hear a brief retelling of the movie Cruel Games. Enjoy watching it. Rich guy Sebastian at a psychologist's appointment suddenly starts hitting on her. His problem is that he's always trying to get girls into bed. Here, too, he hugged Dr. Green too long and hard. Making out with her pretty daughter, Marcel, he wouldn't say no either. She had just called to complain about her ex-boyfriend who had posted naked pictures of her on the internet. And that was our hero, Sebastian. The woman is furious, and Sebastian immediately finds another damsel. Caldwell assigns Catherine a successful, rich student to take over the supervision of her daughter, Cecile. According to Catherine, to be able to cope with everything, she often turns to God and pulls out the great cross from behind her groove as she does so. The Dandelion girl has always been homeschooled, and at her new school she is most interested in boys. Too bad Catherine's half-brother rascal Sebastian also goes to Manchester School, and he just walked into the room and made a lewd joke in Cecile's direction. Mother and daughter are gone, and Catherine is stoned on cocaine, which she keeps in that very cross. These two members of the Golden Youth have fun seducing everyone. Catherine gives her brother an assignment. She dated a certain Kurt, did all sorts of things to him, and he took and fell in love with another just so empty, Cecile. So you have to make sure that by the end of the semester, she has the glory of being the main slut at school. But Sebastian refuses. That sounds too easy. But Annette's girlfriend, who has written an article in a magazine about wanting to save her virginity until marriage, arouses much more interest in him. She's a paragon of chastity. She'll be staying at Aunt Sebastian's house for a while. Her father has been appointed principal of their school. That's top-notch. To get the new headmaster's daughter before school even starts.
You don't stand a chance. Even this is out of your league.
Sebastian writes down all his victories in a special diary. Catherine suggests to her brother that if he cannot seduce Annette, he will give her his vintage Jaguar, and if he can, she will give herself to him. What did he want for so long? Annette gets acquainted with the estate where she will live. Sebastian is already there, waiting for his victim. He immediately begins to criticize her manifesto about not having sex. Maybe she's just a lesbian, but that's not something to judge her by. Annette had heard about his reputation as a heartthrob. A friend warned her in a letter describing Sebastian's seduction tactics. Cecile is busy playing the cello with her teacher. Ronald sits behind her and shows her how to handle the long bow. The girl immediately melts. The sensual lesson is interrupted by Catherine. Sebastian complains to his friend Guy Brian about the bastard who set him up. It was definitely a Greek soccer player. He's from the same town as Annette and probably has a thing for her. But Brian knows for sure that he doesn't like girls. They have had sex with him more than once, although he whines after every night that he's not the same. Sebastian asks his friend to meet him tonight. He has some plans for Greg. Greg was just telling his jock friends how he had fooled some beautiful girl. But then he gets a call from Brian. Catherine asks Cecile about her relationship with Kurt.
He kept talking about this bulimic head case he dumped over the 4th of July. What a loser she must be.
Annette recalls how insidious Sebastian is described in the letter. The girl admits that she is afraid of guys. She has never even kissed one. Catherine offers to teach her protege right here and now. A little smack. Seems like no big deal. Now, Catherine will put her tongue in her mouth and she will massage it with her own. The girls close their eyes and exchange drool and tongues. Cecile really liked this case. Her friend suggested that she continue practicing with her teacher, Ronald. Especially as it turns out he writes Cecile love letters. She also likes the guy, but her mother would kill her. If she finds out about these letters, she hides them in the dollhouse. To get Annette's attention, Sebastian turned up the music at full volume. He gave her a personalized backpack for the beginning of the school year, and afterwards he suggested we go swimming together in the pool. Why not? Sounds pretty harmless. Before going back to Sebastian's, Annette pouted on the spot. She sort of accidentally caught him naked, proclaiming his dignity. The guy climbed into the pool. Annette recalls how insidious Sebastian is described in the letter. But she does not confess who sent it. But she reminds him that she has a boyfriend, who is currently traveling in Europe. The seducer goes on the attack, but the girl only mocks his tricks and leaves. It is the middle of the night. It's time to gather dirt on Greg. Sebastian bursts into the room and takes a picture of him in bed with Brian. Greg immediately agrees to do anything to keep his true orientation a secret. He is instructed to tell his girlfriend how good Sebastian is, as well as to try to ferret out the name of the letter's author. And the girl confesses it was Mrs. Caldwell, Cecile's mother. Cecile herself shows Ronald her skills. It was Catherine who set up the hidden camera to collect dirt on the silly girl, but so far it hasn't even gotten to a kiss with the doves. Angry Sebastian is now ready to help his treacherous sister ruin the girl's life. Almost bringing her brother to orgasm, Catherine escapes. Sebastian calls Annette to invite her out for a walk. Catherine surrenders to her mother's family, telling her about the affair with the teacher.
She's so young and he's so black.
It could ruin her reputation at Manchester High School. And if they were in doubt, she might check. Peeking into the dollhouse of the bathhouse caused a scandal and kicked Ronald out, forbidding him to see his daughter. Not to be deterred. At the same time, from the racist remarks, brother and sister continues the sly game and tells the musician that Cecile is also not indifferent to him. He has to write another letter, and the couple will pass it on. This time, even Sebastian clarifies whether Catherine really wants to ruin an innocent girl's life. That's as far as they've gone yet. But her desire for revenge is too great. They call a tearful Cecile and suggest that she come to them and pick up the letter Brian wrote to her. Cecile arrives, and Sebastian gets her drunk right away. He takes pictures of her and offers to show off her sexuality. A couple of pictures in a bra are taken, but that's all she's willing to do. Sebastian threatens to call Cecile's mother, and she was under house arrest. And to make sure he doesn't, the girl agrees to give him one kiss. Only it turned out that it was not on the lips, but much lower. Cecile returned home disheveled in the morning. During breakfast, Sebastian scoffs and reminds her of what they had last night. The major, at his aunt's request, has to agree to go and help out at the old people's home. Annette goes with him. There, he is rude to the old woman, taking advantage of the fact that she has problems with her hearing. But he plays nice in front of Annette. However, this time, too, she has figured him out. To remove Sebastian's haughty mask, Annette mocks him and makes him laugh, then takes him by the hand. Cecile wants to confess horrible things to her friend Catherine. Her brother took advantage of her, but how he took advantage, he wrote the alphabet between her legs. It was disgusting at first, but then it felt good. And at the end, there was an explosion.
Cecile, you had an orgasm.
Catherine suggests that she not stop and let Sebastian continue to train her so that she can please Ronald later. And in general, one should sleep with many partners. That's what everyone does. They just hide it. Cecile is now actively exercising and doesn't even want to give Sebastian a break. But all the major's thoughts are focused on Annette. Sebastian seems to be falling in love with her. On the lawn, he comes up and kisses the girl, but he overdoes it. He manages to ferret out that the girl is not indifferent to him, and that, she says, is not like her. In the evening, Sebastian makes a scene and accuses Annette of being either cold or hot, and if she rejects him, he will leave. But the girl asks him to stay and locks the door. They kiss, and she was ready to give herself to Sebastian. But he says he can't do that and leaves the room. In the morning, her sister comes to hear about his progress, and she was surprised by Sebastian's action. Catherine informs him that she has left the manor and will now live with her friends. From Greg, Sebastian finds out where he is going for Snob and manages to intercept her at the train station. The girl appreciated the act and kissed Sebastian. Afterwards, they made love. All this did not please Catherine very much. She invited Sebastian and defiantly decreed before he entered the room. It turns out that she managed to seduce our musician Ronald, and he shamefully escaped. Catherine is ready to give Sebastian the promised reward, that is herself, but the blonde rejects her. Catherine goes on the boardwalk, but he is no longer interested in her half-sister. Then she reminds her that Annette is the headmaster's daughter, and he certainly doesn't want a son-in-law with such a reputation. Catherine is also convinced that people don't change overnight, and Sebastian is still as much of a bastard as she is. The major intends to confess everything to his lover and arrives at her house. But on the spot, he lies that he doesn't love her but just wanted to know what it's like in bed. The guy cries and keeps saying nasty things to her. Frustrated, the girl screams and chases the scoundrel away. Now he comes to Catherine to tell her that he broke up with Annette. Now he is ready to take what is owed to him, but his little sister is waiting for Ronald. Then Sebastian pulls out a letter from the musician addressed to her. He's arranged a rendezvous for the couple, and Ronald has stayed with Cecilia, so there's no need to wait for him. Catherine taunts Sebastian. She has made him give up his first true love. He is just a toy in her hands. She also won't let him because she doesn't sleep with losers. Sebastian realizes he screwed up and now tries to call Annette, and then comes to her house, but they won't let him in. Then he asks her to give him a letter. In it, he repents that he took pleasure in making fun of others. Now he has offended the one he has fallen in love with. He also gave her a diary with a collection of his love triumphs. He devoted a separate page to his half-sister, and Annette's page is titled with the word Parry. At night, Catherine calls Ronald and lies about Sebastian hitting her. The girl asks him to come and support her. The musician leaves Cecile in bed to sleep alone. Catherine also told him about the girls and her brother's amusements. At the same time, Annette went out looking for Sebastian. Ronald gets to the major, and a fight breaks out between them. Annette wants to break them up, but falls in the driveway. Sebastian saves the girl at the last moment, but he himself is hit by a car. He squeezes Annette's hand and confesses his love. He, alas, was not destined to survive the accident. In the church toilet did the girl inhale the next batch of drugs. Annette comes out of the stall. She suggests that the bitch turn to God to make it easier for her to cope with her loss. Catherine gives a memorial speech. Somehow, one by one, the students get up from their seats and go outside, all the while looking back at the girl. Outside, Cecilia hands out some kind of notebook to everyone. It is Sebastian's diary, which details all of his stepsister's sins. The headmaster takes a cross from her hand and sends out a white powder. The reputation Catherine held so dear is trampled, and Sebastian's vintage Jaguar will now be driven by Annette.